So, hi everybody. My name is Carrie Stemke, and I'm the senior editor at AccountingWEB. As you may already know, we're hosting our first ever live summit this May from the 9th to the 12th at Paradise Point in San Diego. Today I sat down with Bill Carlino, Managing Director of Whitman Transition Advisors, to talk about what he's excited about the summit and about his talk on succession planning. So, Bill, you've got a unique relationship with AccountingWEB. You're an accounting professional who's aware of our publication, but you also hired our current managing editor, Seth Feinberg, when you worked at Accounting Today. So based on the nature of your personal relationship with us and from the standpoint of a former competitor of our site, why would you encourage people to attend our first event?
Well, Carrie, for the record, I actually hired Seth twice. Okay. He just kept resurfacing. I couldn't say no, but he turned out to be a great addition to our publication. Um, with the pandemic sort of in our rearview mirror, I think it's just critical that we begin the transition from Zoom calls and Microsoft Team calls to basically getting back to that interpersonal connection and seeing familiar faces that you've and friendships that you formed over the years in the profession. And conferences obviously are a marquee way to do that. And I think it's just critical that people get back to that to those gatherings and sort of converge, so to speak, as opposed to the sort of sanitary type of communications that they did during the COVID outbreak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we attend the live summit, I'm definitely excited on seeing people that I haven't seen in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I know that one of the things people are the most excited about are the networking opportunities in person. Mm-hmm. And also, being able to say hello to, people they haven't been able to meet up with in a long time and just to get that experience.
Right.
So I've also noticed you had a really interesting and varied career. I like how you started out as a journalist and editor, and now you're a researcher and a succession planning consultant, which is, two really different things. So What drew you from writing about accountants to becoming an active participant in working with CPA firms and helping them develop succession planning strategies?
Well, that's an interesting question. I do get that a lot. I did spend 25 years plus as a journalist. And I thought it would be good, sort of not so much a midlife crisis, but rather, maybe see something from the experience it from the other side. Mm-hmm. I had never really been in a sort of sales position during my career. And I was offered the chance. I thought it'd be a good opportunity to sort of see the business from that side, as opposed to simply from the journalistic side. And I think the meshing of those two fields of study, so to speak, have really, exponentially increased my understanding of the accounting profession from both the back end and the front end.
Well, what made you interested in transitions specifically? As far as a phase in the accountant's career to look at it's the end, the end, or maybe a different, an end to something hard, whether they're going to retire or whether they're going to merge their business and create something new or walk away from it. So I'm just curious, why pick that particular part?
Well, obviously, succession planning and transition isn't indigenous just to the accounting profession, but all businesses. People, one of the most frequent questions I get is, Bill, when should we really start succession planning? And I always, I give them the same answer. I say, ideally, succession planning in your firm should begin the day you open your doors for business, but rarely does it ever happen that way. So I guess my standard answer would be succession planning, and I never use what we call the R word, retirement, because it sort of frightens people. The question I always pose to somebody who's looking to form a succession plan, I said, how many more years or how many more tax seasons do you want to work full time? Not part-time, but full-time. So that gives them sort of an option. Yeah, well, maybe after 3 or 4 years, I'd like to slow down, maybe not completely exit the business. So it's easier to form a succession plan, when you have some time for that all-important handoff. The worst case scenario, and it's happened to be, dozens of times, is someone said, I want to work 1 more year. And that makes it very, very hard to transition, especially if their succession plan lies externally vis-a-vis a merger with another firm, as opposed to internally when they have someone who's strong on their bench that maybe a diamond in the rough that can take over one day as managing partner.
Okay. Well, the description for your session is ready to move on, how leaders approach succession planning, just so our viewers know, what to look for. And so you would say that CPAs in all phases of their career will absolutely benefit most from attending this session. Also, in some of my research, I found out that 50% of CPAs don't have any plan in place for their firm after they decide to leave. And I was wondering, what specifically they can expect to learn from your solo session.
Well, I was going to say when back to your 50% indices there, as far as folks who don't have a succession plan, that's particularly endemic to the smaller firms. The larger firms, when you have a 10, 20 partner firm, will usually have a formal succession plan in place. It's very rare that you don't. It's usually when you find the 4 partner or less firms that are very lacking, whether it's through procrastination or fear, or maybe they just don't, know what the next step is. But I think everyone, but back to my session, I think people who are thinking of slowing down would certainly benefit. And also, also people who may not have a timeline on the horizon, but should just get an idea of the critical importance of succession planning, how to do it right, what are the roadblocks, what not to do, and that, and that type of criteria, I think would benefit, a lot of the attendees.
Yeah, I think especially with the pandemic, when a lot of people individually in their own lives and in their business, were caught totally unaware. And I know definitely some people had unexpected things happen, like people leaving to start a new career, or even people not being able to come in anymore due to COVID. So I can definitely see the benefits of planning ahead. My last question: what are you looking forward to most at the event?
Well, I'm looking. I'm always anxious to attend a new conference, especially the inaugural year, as yours is. Again, networking, which obviously has been sort of on hold for the last couple of years, but perhaps interacting with some new people, and hopefully, from a selfish business standpoint, maybe some people who approach you and say, "Look, can you help me out? I want to slow down in X amount of years. I don't have anybody on my bench, or I do have somebody on my bench. Help me map out, the path forward, so to speak." And I think that's probably the bullet points, if you had to summarize it, what we could expect, A, from my session, and B, what I can expect from the conference.
Awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to your session. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. And I'll see you in San Diego in a couple of weeks.
Yes, looking forward to some warm weather, Carrie.